Hello everybody, my name is James and today I'm going to be showing you guys my general workflow when I'm trying to create Instagram Reels. It's going to be a very basic tutorial to just get a nice looking edit that kind of looks like this. There's going to be some transitions, there's going to be an ending clip, and then we're going to add music and kind of just show some technical shortcuts. So to start, I'm just going to drag my clip into the timeline. Sometimes it might not work, it might not let you drag it right in, especially if the project's fresh. So if that happens, you can take that clip, drag it into the project section itself, and then from there you can take that and drag it into your timeline. Once I have the clip in the timeline, what I like to do is go over to the text, click those double arrows right there, and I like to go to transcript and just transcribe the video. So once the video is transcribed, instead of watching the video a bunch of times and making cuts, I like to use the transcript to kind of get to where I need to be in the video and then clip it from there. So I'll give it a quick read. Maybe I'll watch through it as well as I read it just so I can kind of get a sense of how the video feels and stuff like that. And then I'll go in and chop it up. So let's just try to start right here and let's just try to cut down this first section.
Perfect. I'll take this from you now. All right. This is Troche. Before we start asking you questions, I am going to have you. I'm going to have you just say hi. I'm Mrs. Troche, and then tell me what it is that you do at HCCS.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I am a 3rd through 5th math inclusion teacher
Where?
at Holy Community Charter School.
Start over and just tell me
Okay.
where you are.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher at Holy Community Charter School.
Awesome. Mrs. Troche.
So there's that first section there. So obviously we can see that this first half is a lot of fluff. So we'll just remove that. Control K or Command K on Mac. Control K on Windows, Command K on Mac. And I will just leave this right
Hi, I'm
here.
Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher at Holy Community Charter School.
Perfect. So now obviously the transcript's a little wrong. It says conclusion teacher at Holyoke Community College or Community Charter School.
Holyoke.
So we will change that and fix
Hi,
that.
I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher at Holyoke Community Charter School.
Cool. And then we'll just go through the rest of the video and make cuts wherever I deem necessary or wherever you think there should be a cut. And then we'll kind of mash it all together or move the clip around as needed. So sometimes when you do the transcript, it will not always be perfect when you go in and try to cut it up. There might be some dead space like this. It's highlighted right now. I'm just going to move over a good little bit and then I will chop that out. That way the cuts are a little bit tighter and it stays more engaging for the viewer.
Teacher here. Having Dr. Pope as
I could probably cut that out even more, especially on the next clip after that.
having
Just go right here. Clip that out.
having the
Move it all over. And should be better now. So now that I have removed all the dead space, we're going to get into the body of the editing. Normally, what we like to do for our organization is we like to add a little end cover. So this is going to be that. It's going to transition from this being the last
and
part.
it's just great having her.
And it just so happens
Wonderful.
that
That was it?
the same part
Hi,
is
I'm
going to be at the end is going to also basically just be the end of this clip right here. This is really the only part where she's like smiling, showing some really nice expression, so we want to highlight that at the end. So I will just go ahead and remove the audio, so it will go from this
and it's just great having her.
to this, and we'll have that little smile at the end, and we will add a color matte to that. First things first though, what we're going to do is change the sequence settings. So if it is 1080p, it's going to be 1920 by 1080p. If it's 4K, it's obviously going to be 380/40 by 2160. So we'll just flip these numbers to change the aspect ratio from 16:9 to 9:16. So we'll do that. I'll fix that in a second. You can see it's not right. It says it's a little weird. So I'll just fix that. And boom, it's 19 by 16. Then from there, I will click maximum bit depth and maximum render quality. And then everything else should be the exact same. Just click yes. And as you can see, it is now in like a boxy format. So what we're going to have to do is resize it so the video can still be in 4K. So what I'll do is I'll go to Effects Control and I will just go into the scale. 180 is what it takes for this to just to fill up by itself. But she is a little bit small. She can definitely take up a little bit more of the frame. So we might bump that up to like 195 and that should be better. Let's just try 205, maybe 210. I like 195 better. Let's just bump it up to 200. Make it a little bit bigger just so we can take up the frame. From here, what I like to do is I like to try to center it as best as I can. So I'll make this a little bit bigger just so I can see. And then I will take my mouse, I'll hover over it, I'll click this directly, and I will kind of move my mouse left and right to center it. So I'm using my best judgment here. There's grids and stuff that you can use, but I can normally just eyeball it and I'll be fine. Move it over a little bit more here, like 123. And that should be good. From there, I can bring this back up. And what you can now do is just copy this clip. If you don't have it selected already, you can just click it, Control C or Command C on Mac. And then what we can do is we can zoom all the way out the timeline, copy those or select those, and then paste the attribute. And it should make it all big. Same size and everything like that. So now what I like to do is make sure that all of the clips are relatively within the same grid. So what I will do is I will set this up so I will put like the size of her face here inside of the grid, and I like to put the top one going horizontally at the top of her head. So now I know if she moves at all, we can adjust it. So as we can see, as we go through the clips, she kind of does a little lean, and so she's a little bit out of the frame. So I like to just recenter it for the majority. So I will do that. I'm just making sure that's consistent across everything else. Looks like it. So I will, instead of it being here for the center, I will bring it over to when she starts to move, and I will just recenter it. So that's going to be the new centering of the clip. And just like that. Should be good. But honestly, just because it was the majority there as well, I actually might remove these attributes just so it's blank again. It's just basically back to how it was. I'll go back in and I will copy it back. Copy that again. Oops, copy this again. And we'll try again. Paste the attributes, make sure motion's checked, and there we go. Now the position is all the same. Do a quick scrub through. I'm not super concerned if she goes out of it. I just want her to be inside that grid most of the time, just so that the video is relatively centered. So we'll leave that there. Next, what we'll do is we're going to add some adjustment layers. We're going to color grade. Normally, when I work in a project, I like to do it all within one file itself, one project, and then I like to add on new sequences. That way I can take like the color grading I already did from a past clip, put it onto a new one, just so that the color grading is consistent. But that's why we wanted to resize it first, just so that when we add this adjustment layer, we don't really got to do much. It's just already going to be sized correctly. From there, you can just drag it onto the timeline, click it, hold Alt, drag it up, and then you can go ahead and add extra layers, or extra tracks, I mean. I'm going to add a few more, just in case I want to add transitions on top. Some of them take 2, maybe 3 more tracks, so I like to have extras just in case. But you can go ahead there, one more time, drag it up. And so what I like to do for the adjustment layers is I like to make it so that the bottom one is the LUT, the middle one is maybe like a creative look that you want to add on, and then the top layer is just for any type of adjustments that need to be made, like the small detail stuff, like maybe the exposure is too high, or maybe I want to add in some more contrast to the clip. Then I can do it in that top layer, and then everything stays organized. So if you want to add a LUT, first thing you do is you go to the bottom one, or wherever, however you like to organize it, and you go to basic correction. Then you'll see input LUT. Then you can go ahead and browse. I'll find the LUTs that this organization likes to use, and boom, I'll click that LUT, and it'll get put on there. Next, what I'll do is I will go to the creative tab, and I will change the look. So right now it's on none. I like to put it on 350/10 and kind of play around with the intensity. 100's kind of a lot, so I usually bring it down. Then I'll do any small basic corrections here with like the exposure, or like I want the contrast to be higher or lower. I can do that there. Same thing with all of these. Then we can play with the color wheels, stuff like that, and we can also mess around with the curves. But I'm just going to take the same LUTs and adjustments that I had on the last one that I made and just drop those in just to save some time. So this was,
So I took school very seriously, and
so obviously it's different, right? If we go back to this other video I did,
to her with any
it's
issue.
a little bit better with the color. This one, it didn't translate as well. So I'm just going
hi,
to
I'm
try my
Mrs.
best to go in
Troche.
there and match it up. So I went in and I did all the color grading. I also made some minor adjustments in terms of the sizing, just so it's more consistent with this video here. Obviously, since they're all for the same place, I want them to be consistent. Same rules still applied though. Try to line up the grid line so that she's inside it most of the time. And I just tried my best to make the color grading look as similar as possible to this video as well. So here's the before the color grade. Big difference here. Colors coming in strong. Kind of played around with some of the curves and stuff like that. And then I made some adjustments to the basic correction tab. From here, what I'm going to do is I will add in a color matte, and I will make it white. Just let it be named color matte, that's fine. And I will drag it over the end cover. So from here, for this clip though, oh, let me also make the transparency 8% just so it's a little less. And then I'll go in, I'll go to creative, and I'll bring the saturation all the way down. I'm also going to um, bring the audio down, so if I have to talk over it, it's not as bad.
now
Because right before it was a little loud. So normally I don't do that, but just because I'm editing the video, and if I talk over the video, I want you guys to hear me. I want that to be audible. And so from there, what we can do is we could take the end cover. For me, it's going to be a PNG, and I will just put that right on there. So as you can see, it's pretty small, so we'll have to resize it, go into scale. I always do 180, so it's consistent, and we can turn off those grid lines.
having her.
That goes to that. Now we can go ahead and add in some transitions. So I'll just bring this up. Let me get the vibe.
Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher at Holyoke Community Charter School. I love working with my students.
It's giving pan vibes. So I'll go to Window, Extensions, Premiere Composer. This is something you have to download. It's called Mr. Horse. Just Google it online and download it for free. The free version is great. So I'll go from that. I'll go to transitions. I said this one's giving pan vibes. I like to go left to right, so I'll put that in. Don't touch anything, let it do its thing, and we will be good. I also like to add a little zoom out at the beginning to kind of like capture the attention of the audience. You probably see this going on a lot in a lot of other videos. Actually, I'm just going to take it from the first one so it's consistent. Copy it one to one. I'll just paste that right there so it's on top.
Hi, I'm Mrs.
But basically what I did is I took it and then I made it shorter. I cut that first half, made the second half a little shorter.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a
Get
third
the
through
sound
fifth
effect. So that's how you can get that zoom in effect.
charter school. I love
I don't like that sound effect on the pan, so I'll
charter
remove it.
school. I love
Do a light leak here. So same thing, just open up that Premiere Composer, grab the light leak, and just drag it in between the clips. Let it do its thing. Do that. Should be good. And let's see what she's talking
teacher
about.
here. Having Dr. Pope here. Having Dr. I wanted to be a teacher here.
So that's like a pretty strong statement in itself for this organization, so I kind of want to emphasize that with the transition that I use. So I want it to be strong and fast, so I'm probably going to just opt for a zoom in real quick. I touch something, okay, it works still. So we'll just zoom
Be a
in.
teacher here. Having Dr. Pope as my principal was great. She was always, she still is, but she has always been inspired.
And normally I do like a light leak for this, so I will just put the light leak in at the end, and there are the transitions.
Great having her.
So as you can see, the light leaks are not sized correctly. So they're also in that format. It's kind of similar to when we first started
Having her.
and how it was that small box. So we got to reframe it back up. As I mentioned previously, to fill it up all the way, you need to go to 180. So as you see, it filled up the whole thing. And we'll just do that for all of the light leaks that I used in the video. It's the zoom in. This is the light leak. 180 and 180. And from there, you can go ahead and render it out, and you get the gist. You guys will get to watch all of these transitions at the end once I fully finish the video and render it out. But just to save some time, we're going to move on to the next step. After watching the video back and make sure all the transitions were good, what I like to do for some longer clips like this, for example, is to do a slow zoom in effect just so that it's not super boring. So I'll go into the effects control, I'll go to the very beginning of the clip. I like to zoom in a little bit on the timeline as well, because as you can see, I'm not directly on that beginning. And from there, I will go ahead and add a anchor point. Anchor point is kind of messed up for some reason. So I'll take the anchor point. I'll just hover over it with my mouse until I see a box appear like that. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. It's a little easier if it's bigger. And I'll put it right between her nose and her lip. So I'm gonna do that. Go back a few frames. And so now we're at the beginning. So that anchor point should still be there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a keyframe on the scale. And I'm going to move all the way down. That anchor point's going to still be there. And I'm going to zoom it in to about 270. So if we watch it back, it's going to have a
I
very
love
slow,
working
it's going to have a very slow zoom in.
with my students because I have that connection with them because I've been here. I know what it's like to go to school here. I know having to take tests.
And as you can see, it's working because that net is starting to kind of get out the frame there. So I put the audio levels back to where they were.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a third through fifth grade math.
And as you can see, they're a little loud, right? It's kind of been creeping on that -6 decibel range. We want it to be at around -12. So I'll just go in and I will bring that gain down maybe 2 because it's still pretty close.
math inclusion teacher at Holyoke Community Charter School. I love working with my students.
And that should be good. From there, we can go ahead and grab our music. She was giving a little bit of a happy, upbeat, lo-fi, cutesy vibe. So I went on to Envato Elements and I basically searched for like cute, happy, upbeat, lo-fi within the search bar, and then I found this song, and I feel like it kind of suits this well. So I'm just going to go ahead, chop that down. When I downloaded it, it gave me a few different variations here. So it has like a couple loops, and then it has just the raw MP3 and the WAV file. I don't really want it to loop, so I will just take the raw file itself as a WAV. Normally they are a little bit better. They got a little bit more detail in there, or sound quality. As you can see, there's a difference in the megabytes, so there's some stuff going on there to make it sound a little bit better.
Hi, I'm Mrs.
And it's really loud when we first drag it in. So how we can kind of even out the audio so that we can still hear the person's talking more than the audio, what we can do is select all of the audio files. We can go to the essential tab or essential sound tab. We can hit dialogue. Then we will go to the music. We'll click the music, select that, click music. Then from there we could select the dialogue, we could select the music, and then we can click music. From there we can click ducking, and normally I like to kind of do something like this, generate those keyframes, and then from there we'll let it play.
Roche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher.
So as you can see, it kind of automatically did all that adjusting in terms of the audio levels for us, so we don't have to do a ton of stuff.
She encourages me to do my best job, and it's just great having her.
So when you kind of have an end clip like this where we have no audio, what can happen is it will ignore the ducking and it will become really loud again. So just watch. It even peaked at about -0.
Hi, I'm
So that was really loud. So to kind of fix this, we can add in some keyframes. So I like to start off at the very end, or the very beginning, and I like to set my very first keyframe. So I will keep it at 0. I'll move over to the end, and I will go back into the end and have it at 0 again. We'll do another keyframe here. Oops. We'll have another keyframe here, and we'll let it just run through.
and it's just great having her.
So as you can see, it's still doing the ducking, but this is just going to ensure that everything from the start to the end stays at the same volume and it's unaffected by what we're about to do to kind of make this last part a little quieter. So I like to find where it starts to slowly rise up. So let's say a few more frames before that. And then from there, I like to go and decrease the level by a little bit. You can do a little less, maybe like -8. Let's do a little less than that still. I still want it to be around that -12 decibel level, so I'll try it -6.
Great having her.
Cool. Then from there, I like to add. From there, I like to add a little fade out onto the audio. So I'll do that by doing this. I found a spot where it would be good to add in a fade in. I'll add another keyframe at -6. And then from there, I'll go all the way to the end and I will then put -35 to make it fade all the way out. And now it will sound a little bit like this.
Great having her.
And now it's even with the audio level still, and it's not super overpowering on the video, while still being quiet enough when she's speaking so that the main focus point could be her speaking. Now that we have all the music and everything situated, what we can now do is get into the fun part and add some captions. So we can do that by going into the transcript. That's why it's really important to make sure the transcript is all situated before we make the captions. And I like to add the captions at the end because you don't really need them until the end. and it will make your computer run a little bit slower, sometimes a lot slower depending on what type of computer you have. Um, so there's really no point in doing it while you're trying to get the main edits out the way. You can get the main edits out the way first and then add the captions at the end, especially because it gets really messy if you have to try to move the captions around. So you want to mitigate that as much as possible. To make the captions though, we'll go to text. If you don't see it, double arrow, hit text. We'll go captions, create captions from transcript, and this might not be what you see at first. It might be like this, but if this is what you see, click this part, and then you can go in and edit that. I like to put the maximum character length to 17 and minimum duration to the lowest, and then I will go and make sure the lines are on single. Sometimes if you have the maximum length in characters a little bit lower, it might bump it to a different line, or the sizing might get funny because sometimes you just got long words in there and it doesn't really know what to do with it. So I like to put 17 to avoid that, and then create captions. It will do it automatically pretty quickly. And now as you can see, the captions are here, they're at the bottom, so we got to fix that. We're going to first put them in the middle, then we are going to make them all capitalized, change the font size to 70. I will make it Tahoma bold. That's just what they like to use for their reels. I will add a stroke, make it black, leave it at 4, it's the default, and then we are good to go. From here, we'll add the track style. We'll do create style, and then we could just name it whatever. I have font 2, the one that I just made. I have font, that's from the previous video I just made. And so we'll just click push the track or style, all captions on track, and then it will automatically do that for every single caption that follows that one we just made. So that's how we can do that really fast, really quick, really easy. One of those technical shortcuts I was talking about. And then from there, I like to make small detail edits. So as we can see, right, it's hi, I'm Mrs. and then the next caption is Trose. So I want that to all be on one line. So what I'll do is I'll fix that.
Hi, I'm Miss.
I think what I'll do is do hi as itself.
Hi, 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 I'm Mrs.
Just trying to get that cut.
Hi, I'm.
So try to get that perfect. I'm going to finagle with it a little bit more in a second, but I'm just going to show you the process because it's just a little tight. So I'm going to do what was it before? So hi, I'm Mrs. Trose. Do that, and then I will fix this.
Hi, I'm Mrs.
Trose.
Trose.
That's about where she ends, so I will just make this smaller, and I will make this longer.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher.
Perfect. So it's not perfect, but it's better, right? So now everything that's kind of important is together.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade.
So that is a little early, but I'll fix that. And I'll basically do that for every single part that I think is necessary. That just happens usually a lot with like Dr. Pope, Mrs. Pope, stuff like that. So as you can see, like Dr. Pope, um, just happens.
Hi, I'm
So
Miss.
we got to fix that stuff. Do that for all your clips, and then we'll go into the next step. So I went in and I made all the small adjustments onto the captions. So now we can add some animations to those captions to make them a little bit more engaging. So I'll select them all. I will go to graphics and titles, upgrade caption to graphic, and it will bring it into the timeline. I like to add one more track just to kind of separate them. That way I can still see what's going on clearly. But from there, we can set that animation to the very first clip. This might be a little janky just because of how short it is, but it will do. So the first thing I like to do is go in and add a little left to right swipe animation. So I will go in, I will drag transform effect into my timeline onto that very first caption. If you don't know how to find it, go to effects, double arrow if you can't find it, it's right there. And then just search for transform, and it's going to be under the distort folder. So that's the one we're grabbing and drag it on. So once that's on there, we can move all this down. I don't really need to see this stuff. Just want to see the captions. So first things first, make sure that shutter angle is on 360. Then from there, I like to kind of have a grid. I like to move that over. I like to give it a little bit of space. I might even see what I had it at for this. So roughly like 106. So I'll just go back in, find 106. And then from there, what I like to do is I will move the caption over to the left. So I'll try to just line it up. I like to give myself a little bit of room on the side in case the captions are extra long. I like to line up that very first letter to that. I'll create a keyframe here, and I will make the opacity 0. I will move over 3 frames, so hit my right arrow key 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then I will reset this. I will reset this. Oh shit, I forgot to put keyframes. So make sure you click that arrow. But if you hit reset, it will automatically do that for you. I'll just show you guys real quick. So 0 on the opacity. 1, 2, 3. Reset. And that's at 100 now. So when we play it back now, it should kind of swipe in.
Hi, I'm Mrs.
So as you can see, it swiped in.
Hi, I'm.
It's a little quick just because of how short the caption itself is, but as you can see, as we scrub through it, you can kind of see that caption blur in from left to right and pop up. From there, we can copy it. It's just a little bit bigger, and then I will go in and I will select the rest of the captions. Just like that. I will paste the attributes, and they will all start to slide in.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher at Holyoke Community Charter School.
So as you can see from watching it, it's not perfect. We're gonna have to change a few things here. So this one, for example, normally I have it at 3 frames. Look at how far this one is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12 frames over. So that's obviously sliding in really slowly because it kind of does it in like a gradient effect where it will slowly get to where it needs to be. So instead, I will just take this, highlight it, move it all the way over. That's 1, 2, and 3. Double check that if you really want to, just to show you guys it works. 1, 2, 3. And then from there, it's going to be fast.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche.
And we could do that for every single one that's long. This one's a little longer than I would like. Go over. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And it's 3. Same thing for this one. Do it again. Select this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oop, I kind of messed up that one. 1, 2, 3. There we go. But now it kind of solves that problem.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher.
And we could just do that for every single caption that is messed up. Unfortunately, there's no way to do that fast, but a good rule of thumb is that if it's a short caption like this or like this, normally it's fine and it doesn't have to be perfect. But those long captions are definitely gonna be a little bit slower. So I would target those first. So I just went in and I made all the small detail edits. Now we can render it and give it a quick watch back and just see how it looks. See you when it's done. Now we can watch our video come to life. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Troche. I'm a 3rd through 5th grade math inclusion teacher at Holyoke Community Charter School. I love working with my students because I have that connection with them because I've been here. I know what it's like to go to school here. I know having to take tests. I know the stress, but I also know how rewarding it is, and I want them to feel safe and comfortable with me since I've been here and I know what it's like. Being a student here at Holyoke Community Charter School was really fun. I enjoyed my experience here. I had amazing teachers and I was a high honor roll student, so I took school very seriously. And since I was a child, I knew I wanted to be a teacher here. Having Dr. Pope as my principal was great. She still is, but she has always been inspiring, motivating. She always calls me her lioness. She always makes me feel proud to be from charter school. And now working here, she still does the same thing, makes me feel proud. She encourages me to do my best job, and it's just great having her.
So there's the video in its entirety. This took me about an hour and a half, including recording time, trying to go back and like make it nice and smooth. But if I were just to do this by itself, it would probably take me like an hour. So, you know, for making a couple of videos and it only takes you an hour, you could be getting paid some pretty good money for this. So, recommend that you kind of work on it, continue to do it, refine your skills. Remember that all this technical stuff is just a guideline. The art in it is taking your creative mind and making something out of what you have. So now we can export the clip. So first we'll go to export, obviously. Then from there, we will change the name of the file. I highly recommend that you change the name of the file or else it's going to get lost. So this may or may not be up for you already. Normally it's like that. But what we'll do is we will go to preset, match source adaptive high bitrate. That's just to get the most quality out of the video. And then it's basically just changing stuff within this video section tab. So it's just going to match whatever your sequence settings are basically. Sometimes though, if you're recording B-roll and you have that in your timeline, and by default that clip is in 60 FPS or maybe 120 FPS, it will match that by default. So instead of saying a frame rate that's pretty good for Instagram, like 24 or 25 or 30-ish FPS, it might still be at 60 or 120 FPS. To change that, you'll just unclick the box. Imagine this says 120 or 60. That's basically what would happen if you had that setting. Uncheck the box and it allows you to change it. So if it's at 60, it would be like that, but it would be checked. It'll be grayed out. You uncheck it, and then from there, you go back in and you change it to whatever you want. Normally 24 is pretty good for Instagram, like cinematic stuff, so it's usually better to have it on the lower end. And then audio, you'll leave the same. Basically everything you're leaving the same. When I first did this and I had the captions as graphics, I was wondering why I didn't see the captions option. Like I couldn't check it off. It's because the captions are now already burned into the video as graphics. So you can kind of tell that by scrubbing through the video like this, and you can see whether or not the captions are going to be there. So you can leave that unchecked, that's fine as long as you upgraded them into graphics. If you didn't and you just left it, make sure captions is checked off and turned blue. You should be able to do that no problem. Effects are going to be the same, metadata is going to be the same, general is going to be the same. From there, we will just hit export and let it do its thing. Should only take a few minutes because the clip's only like a minute or so. But after that, you're done. You can then do whatever you want with the clip. You can upload it to YouTube. You can send it to somebody through Gmail. You can send it to an employer. Really, whatever you want to do, it's free reign now. The video is now on your computer. So, congratulations, you have made an Instagram reel. I hope that you guys can continue to refine your skills and make more Instagram reels. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the description below, and I will get back to answering those as soon as possible. Good luck, everybody.